Hello and welcome guys to another video. Today we have two races at Bathurst in the Plr Acc top split. So let's get straight into the video. So let's just start with qualifying then. So this is first qualifying. Currently sitting P9, so we're quite far back. Let's see if we can make up some qualifying positions with this lap. Two cars in front of us are in the pits, so they won't be able to improve on their time. So is the third car in front of us. So we've got a good opportunity here to just push and try and get a lap and make up some positions. So coming around the right-hander there, we're about 2/10 up on our lap. Going round the double left here, into the sharp hairpin. Very easy to make a mistake here. Have to get a good run because we're flat out up until we get to the downhill section. About 4/10 up there as we come through this sector. Nearly half a second now. Over half a second up on our lap. So we're on a really good lap here. Let's keep going. Coming round this left-hander. That's qualifying over. We've got a yellow flag in front of us. Thankfully, they returned to pits. We're 8/10 up. This is going to be our final lap. 7.5 tenths, 8 tenths up, 9 tenths up now as we come down the hill. Got the final sector here now. Got to be very careful not to lose it going down this tricky left-hander. And we are about a second, nearly a second up on our best lap here. About 9.5 tenths as we come down this long back straight. Got to keep it very smooth just through the downhill section there. So now that we're a second up, little right kink here before we come into the heavy braking zone of this left-hander. Braking at the 100-meter board right down to second. Lose maybe a little bit of time there on the entry, but we gain some time on the exit, I think. So now coming around the final corner. Be careful not to muck up your lap on the final corner. Quite a tricky apex, but we're a 1.5 seconds up. And that puts us to P3 on our final lap. So super happy with that lap. Let's see how we get on in the race. Hammer pole position, Lost Harbour in P2, and us in P3. Now this is something that's going to play a massive part in the race for us. Notice at the end of qualifying we were running at 2.87 litres of fuel a lap. But the race litres was 3.75 for the race, which I didn't realise when I was going through the setup at the beginning. So that'll play a huge part at the end of the race. Notice P2 there had wheel issues, so we were straight up into P2 before we've even started the race. So now coming into the start now. Green lights and away we go, moving to the outside to the racing line. Got Hammer in P1, we're in P2, into turn 1, cold tyres. We've got Troy having a wee nosy on the inside. We're out of turn 1. Looks like everyone survived in one piece. And we hold on to P2 there. Now at the end of the first lap, just after sector 2, we're still in P2. We've got about a 1.6 second gap to Troy behind us. And now if you look behind, I think this was the next lap, you see Troy spun out there, I think. Not sure exactly what happened. But that gave us a big gap. As you can see, we went up to 4.5 seconds. So now, not much else happened after that. So we're now only got 12 minutes of the race. We're sitting P2. We've got a 5.6 second gap to Weed Flame and Racer. So it's looking good for P2. But this is when I started to notice that the fuel consumption had gone up and we might not have enough fuel, which is really annoying because I always overfuel, and I had overfueled by 6 litres or so I thought. But because the fuel consumption went up, with only 2 laps left, we had to come into the pit lane here because we only had 1 lap of fuel. Absolutely gutting because it's a sprint race, only half an hour, so we had to come into the pits. And unfortunately, because of that, we ended up finishing P7. But we definitely could have had P2 there if it wasn't for the fuel consumption. But there is 2 races at Bathurst, 2 qualifying, so we have another opportunity to make up some positions in the second race. So at the end of qualifying for the second race, we didn't get a very good lap. so we ended up only qualifying P8. But let's see if we can make it up in the race. So green lights and away we go. We're currently sitting around P8 here. We're on the outside of undercut here coming into turn 1. Still on the outside, try and get a good exit. Troy and the McLaren have a collision, they go into the wall. That gives us 2 free positions there along the back straight. We're behind the Ferrari now. Ferrari and Bentley going quite close. The Ferrari goes slow here and we send it down the inside going into the hairpin up to P5 there. Got a good clean move there. And now later on in the lap we are sitting P5. We've got UK Sim Racer in front of us. And coming down the hill, the Bentley spins out, hits the wall, so we're up to P4 already. Very nearly got collected though. So we've gone from P8 to P4 in just 1 lap. Now a few laps later, we've got Weed Flaming Racer spins and we very nearly get collected, but we're able to avoid him and go up to P3. So we've gone from P8 to P3. So we've basically got the opportunity to have a double podium this time. As you can see here, we've got a little bit of a gap to the Ferrari in P4 and we're sitting P3 currently. So now here we've got nearly a 5-second gap to the Ferrari behind us. It's going dark now. We've got about 12 minutes of the race. We've stayed in P3 for about 12 minutes so far. Going around this left-hander and we get a tiny bit of oversteer and just clip the barrier, which just projects us into the wall on the other side, and that unfortunately gave us a huge amount of damage. But I was hoping that we'd maybe be able to defend because we did have that gap. So a few minutes later we've got the Ferrari behind us and you can see just how bad the damage is. When I brake, my lights are going on and off, and then when I come around the corners I'm having to lift, and I still end up tapping the barriers because I just don't have any handling. I think I must have had some suspension damage. So after trying to defend, we've now got 9 minutes left. We've got the Ferrari trying to go around the outside. We're going to keep defending, as you can see. Ferrari looking around the outside there. We give him room. We're going to hold the inside into turn 1. A bit of a compromise line for the first corner though. So this is going to hurt us on the straight. The Ferrari staying behind in P4. But because of the damage and how long of a straight it is, as you can see, the Ferrari's easily going to get past us with a straight line speed. As you see, he just moves over on the outside, and then coming into the right-hander, we're going to try and defend. He's already got the move done, and then as we hit the brakes, my steering just completely goes and I go straight into the wall. Just had absolutely no handling left whatsoever. Which was really annoying because it looked like we might have had P3. You can see here now we've got 1 lap left after this. Coming down the hill, I've just got no handling whatsoever. Go into the wall and the car's just destroyed. As you can see, can't even see through the windshield very well. Had to go into, I think it was bonnet cam, so I could actually see where I was going. But I was having to hold my wheel at like a 90-degree angle just to keep it straight. So unfortunately we ended up having to retire from the second race, so that put us in P5. But well done Hammer for a double win. Absolutely gutted that we missed out on the first podium because we didn't make really any mistakes in that, so we could have had P2. And the second race, it was just a tiny bit of oversteer and the race was gone. So really gutting there. But thanks everyone for watching, hope you enjoyed.